gospel, light of the temple. Sword swing, killer live from the ghetto. The hood messenger, let them know hell's close. Black burial, the devil in a black cloak.
Yo, what is up? Welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast. I'm your host, Dave One, and this is episode number... Yo, Cam, what episode is this? Episode number 74, man. Yo, everybody out there, check it out. So if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't shared the podcast, please subscribe and share the podcast. We're trying to grow this podcast as much as we can, but we need your help. So if you love the podcast out there, you're following us, send one of our podcast episodes to one of your friends, family, co-workers. Let them check it out and tell them to subscribe if they like what they're seeing. You know, so that's on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and then even Amazon Podcasts. That's a new platform that we're on too now. So make sure you subscribe, check us out, and we could always use the support. So, but today we got a guest that came in, and you know, me and Cam have one rule on the podcast, and the rule on the podcast is if you ask to be on the podcast, you can't be on the podcast, right? So that's rule number one. But this guy was funny because we had a guest on, Josiah O'Neal. He came in here, and I was already following my guest today. And then Josiah O'Neal was telling me, you should get so-and-so on. And I said, oh, I'm going to reach out to him, bro. Like, I've been wanting to get him on, so I'm going to reach out to him. The very next day, my guest today hit me up, and he was like, hey, what's up, bro? Let's connect, da-da-da. And I said, I have one rule, but I'm not breaking the rule because I was going to ask you to be on the show. Not that he was begging to be on the show, but we were trying to make that connection to get him on here. But so I didn't break my own rule. Thank God, because it's going to be a great guest today. So this dude right here, he grew up in the neighborhood. He is a believer. He is a father. He is a husband. He is part of a big movement out there going on right now. So We'll get a little bit more into that, but I want to welcome to the Street Gospel Podcast, Mr. Jesse Holguin.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, brother?
Good, man. Doing good. Blessed.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you came through, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad you came through, brother. Oh, you getting all these calls, man? You're gonna have to put that on pause, man.
I did. It's all good. It's on mute.
How you been, man? You're a busy dude.
Yeah, man, we were just out there in L.A., protesting.
I saw that,
man. Children, man, and it was hot. The cops did us all dirty. They had us out there, and they stopped us because the leftists were right there. Yeah. So then we were just right there in the sun, bro, baking right there.
Man, bro, I see that you're everywhere.
Trying.
You know, okay, so your hat says it all. The Lexit, basically the Lexit movement. Before we go, any further, and you already mentioned the protesting and different things. What is the Lexit movement for my listeners out there?
It's the Latino exit from the Democrat Party.
Okay.
But we're not. But now we're kind of changed up a little bit since like 5 years ago when I started it. Now because I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. Okay. Now I'm a Biblican. We vote the Bible. We vote on godly moral values. But we know the left is all foul. Like I used to be a Democrat. I was a lifelong Democrat. But as when I became a Christian and I started walking with the Lord, I seen that I could no longer be with the left. So, and then the Republican has a lot of foul, rhinos, spineless, and all of that too. So that's why I just say I'm a Biblican. We vote the Bible. I'm a conservative.
Dope. I think most people miss that, right? Most people miss that. They think they have to join a party, and you kind of have to vote your values, vote your beliefs, right? Vote the word of God, right? So I think that's the key. I think a lot of believers kind of lose that in the mix somewhere.
Amen. And that's, to me, and that Lexit, that's the most important to us. And so we don't just go. That's why even the right, they don't like us. They hate us. We have a lot of haters too, is because we don't just follow suit. Like we're not going to just, any Republican, we're not going to back them. We only back ones that we know that ain't rhinos, that are godly. The ones that we think are cool, then we're going to back them. So that's why sometimes they get mad. It's like, what? You're not going to back it? I'm like, nah, we're not backing them. We only back cool ones, rhinos. We don't back rhinos.
Now, you led, I want to put this out there early, you led the protest at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were I met not a lot of people, but when I mentioned to a few people I was having you on, I was like, you haven't heard this guy? And I was like, he's the dude that led the protest at Dodger Stadium against these blasphemous nuns, right? That they were inviting, right? To honor, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was me and John Root, and at the time he was for Turning Point Faith, and it was me and him, and then we were starting it up, and we were already getting all on the ball. We were doing it, and then we reached out to I forgot what it's called. It's like a coalition of a bunch of churches, and we told them, and then so they were like, yeah, we're down with you guys, we're in. But then they mentioned, they were like, hey, and then the Catholics, we have some Catholics in our whatever too, and then they're doing something too. So then do you guys want to do it? So we're like, yeah, you know what, might as well, instead of having two separate ones, then yeah, all right, well, let's start working with together, you know what I mean? Put all the denominational stuff and all that aside, just about Christ. So then we let the Catholics, they came in, and then we did it like that. That's how it came about.
I think it was a great protest. It was very successful, right? It got a lot of coverage. I think the Dodgers heard that protest loud and clear.
It was,
right? I mean, the crazy thing about this was that I was tripping out is that they invited those dudes. They invited those dudes to come through, and then I don't think they expected such an uproar, which is weird to me because I mean, I guess it's like a lot of corporations nowadays, right? They don't expect an uproar when they do stuff like that. Are they that detached from their fan base? Are they that detached from the people that pay their salary? I mean, let's be honest. I think, I always say this, bro. I always say that Hispanics are closer to Republicans than they really are to Democrats.
For sure.
Right? Can you break that down for everybody out there?
That's what we always tell them, is that most Latinos are conservative. They just don't know it. So we just go like, you want men going in the women's restrooms? No. You support killing babies and all that? No. You know what I mean? Like, you want open border, you want them taking your guns, higher taxes, all. Like, you could just go down the list, and then they're going to be like, no, I ain't for that's how we do it at Lexit. We're like, we're just going down the list, you this, and they're like, yeah. So why are you voting Democrat? And it's because we grow up, like Latinos, and blacks, we grow up automatically thinking we're Democrats. Like me, I grew up, my family told me we're Democrats, and I was like, why? And they said, because the Republicans are for the rich whites, and the minorities are for the Democrats. So then I grew up automatically thinking we're Democrats, but it's not even the same Democrat. This ain't the no more Kennedy Democrats. No. This is far right communist, God hating, American hating communists, righteous. They're not even the same party as 5 years ago. They're just radical, evil party. You know what I mean? So with Latinos, we don't align with that, but it just seems like. But still, the younger generation, like the older Latinos, yeah, they're in line with us. But the younger one, because they're watching like pages like Food's Gone Wild and whatever, these other rappers, that they're starting to think leftist is cool in that. You know what I'm saying? When we got to wake them up and tell them, like, nah, you should be obeying what the Word of God says. You should be obeying what God says over some rapper or some Hollywood.
Yeah, some Hollywood, some Hollywood person that doesn't have no connection to where you came from. You know what I mean? Been rich for a long time. So, yeah, I agree with that. I tell people that all the time. You get into, and it's not even Republican, right? It's conservative, right? It's conservative, and I'm like, look, man, and I'll go down a list. It's funny that you guys do that because I always do that, and I'm just like, look, man, this is what I believe. Do you believe this? And they'll go, well. Do you think we should be able to go to church and worship our God freely? And they're like, well, my God. And I say, okay, your God. Let's just say that. It doesn't have to be Jesus. I would prefer it be Jesus. Yeah. But if it's not, cool. If you're a Catholic, if you're Jewish, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. Do you want higher taxes? Do you like paying higher taxes? No. Do you like living in a safe neighborhood? Yeah. You know what I mean? Do you like the ability to protect yourself? Yeah. Do you like the ability, if you want to start a business, you can start a business? Yeah. Exactly. Do you want the government in all your business? No. I said, man, you're more conservative than me.
Yeah, you want them mutilating kids?
Yeah,
drag shows for kids.
And I think that was a line that was drawn, right? Yeah, I think when they drew the line where you want to, indoctrinate the kids, I think that's when the average, let's just say the average Democrat, right? Let's just say the average liberal was like the one closer to center, right?
Yeah.
I think they were like, yeah, we're not down with this, right? This is getting out of control. I want to be able to control what goes on in my home and what my kids are taught, and not it being force-fed down their throat.
Exactly, because that's what they're doing, man. It's the alphabet mafia. They're pushing it down our throats, and that's what woke up a lot of people. That's why I tell people it went from, oh, we just want to get married, to now look, now you can't even turn on the TV. It's being ramming it down our throats. Now they're even pushing it on the kids in the school. Now they're even trying to mutilate kids. Now they're even trying to make it you get arrested, like in Minnesota. They're trying to make it a felony if you misgender people. Like, see, that's what happens when you dance with the devil. You play with. See, that's what happens. You know what I mean? And even I don't know if you know, but the California GOP, I don't know if you know, but there's a big, like a civil war going on right now because they're trying to remove God, and then they're trying to remove marriage between a man and a woman, and they're coming against the pro-life as the party platform, like total rhinos.
Right.
And see, and it's the Log Cabin is doing that. That's the gay Republican organization, and they let them in, and then look at, as soon as they got in there, they're trying to remove God, they're trying to remove marriage, and coming against all. And what are those three? Like, they're not trying to come against the border, or immigration, or Second Amendment. They're coming against all three things of God, and it's the Log Cabin. And see, that's what we've been telling them. That's the Trojan horse. So
right.
You let them in, and then look what happens when you dance with the devil.
Yeah, it'll never be enough, right?
Will never be.
It'll never be enough.
Full-blown pedophilia. They ain't gonna stop till America is Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right. I mean, I told people that like 4 or 5 years ago. You can never be woke enough. Never be woke enough. Because you give an inch, they just keep going, and they move the goal. Now we're to the point of it's okay in the schools to little kids, and then removing your rights for your children.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope people begin to wake up and really see what's going on, because this is just truth. If I'm having kids, I want to raise them the way I want to raise them. I don't want people deciding for me how I raise my children.
That's ridiculous. Even they're trying to say that they could, in California over here, that if you're a kid up to 12 years old, they could take your child from you if you don't let them be a tranny or whatever. What kind of crap is that? Like, it's like most people don't know. Most people are ignorant, especially minorities, that they keep you. See what they do is with us. They use race to manipulate us. Like, go to any of those left wing sites. Go to any of the Foods Gone Wild. All they're pushing is race. Everything racism. Everything white supremacy and all that. Whatever. Like so they're like, look. Like I always say, they're using it like a carrot. Like, look, everything's racist. Focus on race. Don't focus on we're mutilating kids. We're grooming your kids at school. We're trying to take your guns, or open borders. You know what I mean? The economy, the lawless crime. You know what I mean? Don't focus on none of that. Look, racism, vote racist, vote race.
Right.
That's what they're using to manipulate minorities, and that's what we're telling
for
them. For
50 years.
Like, quit focusing on race, all that crap. And like I said, me, I'm from Puente. I never had no problem with no white supremacists or all that. And I was even in the pen, bro. I was busted for years with actual white supremacists, big old Nazi things and all that. And even then, I was never scared of them or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I got shot by another Latino. I had 4 cousins murdered by other Latinos, and these fools trying to tell you that's the biggest problem, is because that's what they're using to manipulate, and blacks more. So it seems like more black, because they use the slavery to manipulate them, and then us, they try to use immigration. And then now look at most Latinos, we don't want this open borders and all this stuff, eh?
Yeah, man. It's a spirit, man, a manipulative spirit that just gets on people, and it's been on our people forever. For like 50 years, right? And it's a lie. It's a straight lie, because facts prove. If they get to the facts, yeah, right. But we're talking feelings. That's what the problem is. If you can bring facts, they're over here talking feelings, and you can't argue with feelings all the time, because feelings is just like it's a lost cause, because it's how I feel, right? It's not. Well, what's the facts? It's my feelings, and I think that's what's been the biggest problem. You mentioned you're from La Puente, and this is the part that I think, for me, and I think a lot of people that are in your movement and part of that, and follow you, is that you were there, right? You were in the neighborhood. You were part of, I guess, the problem, right?
Right, just the problem. Maybe what?
And so I think that's what separated it for me with you is because I was thinking, well, this dude, I mean, what really could you tell him? So you said you've been shot. You said you had family members murdered. You were in the pen, all this stuff. And then so somebody comes to you and really steps to you. They really don't have a leg to stand on because they can't say like you grew up in a great family, in a great neighborhood, and you're affluent, influence and all this stuff, right? It wasn't about that. But where did you grow up and how did you grow up, man?
Just gang related. Like every member of my family, every male was a gang member. Like my whole family was gang related. My dad, my uncles, my cousins, my brother, like all of us were notorious. Like you go over there and I went to everybody, they know the whole gangs, you know what I mean? Like we were around my hood, so that's why I just grew up always wanting to be in gangs, you know what I mean? Like I didn't want to be a movie star or athlete or nothing like that. My goal was always to be gang related, you know what I mean? Because I used to always know. And then it was a trip because that's not even, I was driving over with my Uber driver and we're talking and then she was even saying like, yeah, because see, when I grew up, grew up in the hood, you know what I'm saying? All the ones that we went to played baseball with and we went to junior high, elementary school with, we all ended up being from the hood, you know what I mean? All of us got into the water, so all the fools that got in my gang, we were all grew up together since playing softball and all of that, and then now we were all from the gang, and then all my family too.
And you got mixed up where you got pretty deep, and you say you went to prison?
I went to YA at 16. They raided my pad. They got me for 4 shootings, and I did a lot of things than that. That's just what they were charging with. So imagine at 16, I got charged with 4 shootings. So I went up to YA. So that was straight gladiator school, especially in those days, in the early 90s, it was bad.
So I know what you mean by gladiator school, but tell everybody out there what gladiator school was.
Man, it was weird. It was rocking. It was, like I told my story before, like I remember my first day there, fool ran up on, I remember I was in the hallway, I was a little kid, 16 years old, right? We get there, and then there's like all the fools are on the yard, right? They're deep, right? And I'm right there, and everybody was scared, because you know what I mean? You hear all about YA, so you're like, and then I'm right there, and I'm waiting to go in, like 10 of us would go into the building, and I just hear, F Puente. And I'm like, whoa, and I look and I see a bunch of like food, and I'm like, damn, how do these fools already know where I'm from, man? I just barely got right here. And then I come inside the thing, and the staff right there, all corrupt, talking crap to us, all mean. They saying, you guys, anything, we'll let fools go up in your room and be getting you, and they're like telling us a bunch of mean crap. So I'm like, damn. And then I'm right there in the hallway waiting with my stuff, and there's big old fools, all in the windows, and they have like cornrows in their hair and all that, and they're big fools in the window. I'm in the hallway right there, and I was a little old kid, skinny, little 16-year-old kid, and they're blowing kisses at me. So they're all fools they're on their door, and they're blowing kisses at me, and they're like, we're gonna get you and all that. And I was like a little chihuahua, bro. When I would get mad, my mouth would just start going off, So I was just like, what, fool? What'd you say? I go, do that when the door's open. I'll fire on you, Try that. When we'll see what's cracking then when the door's open. You know what I mean? They were like, well, little fool, we're going to get you. But I guess they never did. I guess they were just testing me. And then I come in my room, and they take me all the way down the hallway, and they rack the door, plam, plam. They put me in my cell, and they lock it, black, black. And a big old fool gets up, his name was Too Tall. He was Too Tall from Bounty Hunter Bloods. He was in there for murder on a cop, and a big old giant. And I was like, dang. He ended up saving me later in there. Like God used him, whatever, to save me. But then come out, and then so I'm right there, and I hear one of my enemies. I hear some fool dissing because everybody's outside the windows banging and all that, right? And I hear some fool, and I think he's dissing my house. So I was like, what? He was one of my enemies. So I said, what, F you fool? And he was like, all right, we'll see. And I'm in the shower, We're in the shower like 4 fools, and that fool runs up on me in the shower with the shank, Whoa. So I'm like, oh, my first day, and he has the shank on me like right here, And he's like, what's up now, What's up? You talking all that? And at first I was scared. Like, caught me off guard. Like, whoa. And he had the shank on me. And then I was like, what? What's up, Go ahead. Stab me. I don't care. What's cracking? You know what I mean? What's happening? Go ahead. And then I caught him off guard. He didn't know what to do. I guess he thought I was going to be scared or whatever. So he was like, what? F you. And then those fools in the shower were like, that little kid ain't scared of you. He ain't scared of you. You know what I mean? And, but that was just the first day. But I'm just telling you, it was bad. By the time I got out of there, I was institutionalized.
How long would you stay there?
3 years.
3 years. So that was in the height of gladiator school, and it
all
was
the
really
rioters,
bad, right?
Right. All the rioters from all the most crazy rioters from every gangs were in there. So it was all the most crazy rioters were in there.
And when you got out, what was your plan?
I didn't have no plan. I was just gang related, sick.
Put your mic up a little bit.
My plan was girls. You know what I mean? Oh, I had no plan. I planned on dying or getting life. You know what I mean? I was just a soldier. When I got out, I was even worse. Because I went in, even though I was a gang member and all that, I was just a normal little kid. I was still just a little whatever. But by the time I got out of there, I was a maniac. I was a straight gangbanging machine. And people on the streets can't deal with dudes that get out like that because we're in there straight. We fire on fools and any little thing. We're rushing fools on sight, and people on the streets ain't used to things like. So when I got out in my hood, my homies were like, "Whoa!" Like she's straight out of YA. You know what I mean? I was straight out of YA, just taking off on fools, and I'm doing the most shootings. And you know what I mean? I did all them years for shooting, and I come out and I'm the one. I'm shooting. I'm blasting. So I ended up being like the main dude around my hood when I got out.
Man, in your family, what are they saying? I mean, what kind of home did you grow up in?
It was good. My mom and dad had a good home. You know what I mean? Even though I wasn't all ghetto, like I also had a good home, and they weren't into God, and they were Catholics or whatever, but they weren't into God or nothing like that. And so it was. I came from a good home, good family, but they were just gang related. Like I said, all my cousins and all like that. But my dad, he never messed with me, because like I would be gone for days and all that. They would never see me. Like my mom would just see me. I would just come home to shower, change clothes or whatever. And even my mom would open my drawer, she'll see guns, dope, and all that right there. So they knew what time it was. And then one time my dad told me when I was fresh out, and he was like, "Hey, what do you?" Because he seen, you know what I mean, he seen I was being all bad. He was like, "Hey, I just want to tell you what's up with you. What are you gonna do, or what's your plan, or what are you doing?" And I told him, "Don't worry about me. I'm either gonna end up dead or in jail. So you ain't gotta worry about me." So he was like, "All right, now that you told me that, I ain't gonna tell you nothing, and do whatever you're gonna be doing." And sure enough, I almost did. I almost got killed.
How do you come to that conclusion in your life at that early age?
I was just on a rampage, bro. I was just on a sick gangbang. Like, I didn't even care about my family, nobody, nothing. All I cared about was gangbang. Like, there's gang members and there's gang bangers. There's guys that are from a gang, but they don't do nothing. They have their old lady, or they're just around kicking it. And then there's ones that are the rioters, putting in work, and they just want a soldier. I was just a soldier, you know what I mean? Because I wasn't all into drugs and all of that, whatever. I just wanted to gangbang, you know what I mean? I just wanted to go putting in work on my enemies. That's how I was.
Man, what do you think motivated you though? I mean, what
my family? I guess.
Now looking back, like you're just, it was just part.
First, it was my family, because they all were the craziest dudes and all. So I was trying to earn my own at first when I was young. You know what I mean? And then when I first got in, I was one of the youngest little. So I'd be right there in my hood, Puente. You know what I mean? We are deep and a lot of good old fools. So I was right there with a bunch of crazy old fools and a little old kid. Trying, you know what I mean? I'm like a squirrel trying to be a nut. You know what I mean? Like, how could I compete with these big old crazy old dudes? So I would always try to earn my own respect, because that's just he's a little kid and that, you know what I mean? Little old dude and all that. So I would even more trying to like earn that. I think that's what motivated me.
Wow. You mentioned that you got shot. What happened that day?
I was trying to kick down some dude's door. I went to this dude's pad. And I got into it with some dude, and I was just going to kick down his front door and go up in his house and get him, man. So as I was kicking down his front door, he shot me, bam, boom, out the side window.
Man. And you ended up, this how you...
Paralyzed.
So you're paralyzed. I mean, they can't see you out there, but how long has it been?
Just 20 years.
Man. Did that gunshot and you being paralyzed, did that slow you down?
Yeah. Well, the Lord saved me. It was the Lord, because I got saved. I got the Lord, you know what I mean? The Holy Spirit and just the power of God just moved me and changed me, because I could have still been gang related. I could have still been kicking in.
We see
hood.
it all the time, right?
I could have still been blasting from the car, or still been kicking in and doing drugs and whatever. But the Lord, that changed me, because I got saved. Like, you could go look online, because there's a bunch of videos that show my testimony. I usually always go through my whole all testimony, but when I was dying, I was choking on my own blood. I was dying and all that. And I called out to Jesus, and then Jesus saved me, and he did a hell of work in me ever since then.
How did you know to call out to Jesus? Was it just did you know anything about him, or you just did?
Because I got saved before that, like the last. Because I did years in YA and all that, and then I got out, and I was main dude around my hood, and I got busted for another shooting. And then, so I was in the county, and I had 7 felonies. And I'll tell like a whole story about that, where that night when I was going to do that shooting, I was working, and my older boss was an older Christian man. And he was an ex-gang member. He was from Eastside Bowling. He was an ex-gang member from Eastside Bowling, but he was a Christian. And he started sharing the gospel with me. That's why I always tell everybody, don't ever think that you're not getting through when you're sharing the gospel with somebody, because he would have probably thought this little, because he knew I was all bad, gang related and all that, but he still, and I heard what he was saying when he was sharing the gospel with me. That's why I don't ever always share the gospel, even if you think that you're not getting through, they're hearing what you're saying, because I heard what he was saying. And so I was going to do it, I did a shooting and all that, whatever, but anyways, he shared the gospel with me, and I prayed, like before I went to go do the shooting, I said, hey God, help me to change. And then, because I didn't know how to pray, and then I did the shooting, boom, boom, boom. We got in a high-speed chase, we crashed, and then when I'm in the count, 7 felonies, and then I didn't know how to pray, but God knew my heart. I promised God I'll never touch a gun again. You heard me on the Ryan Reese when I said that about I promised God I'll never touch a gun again and all that, and I got saved. I know I got saved that night, and then, but I just, a mistake that I made was I didn't want people to think I picked up the Bible in jail and all that, so I was trying to kick it on both sides of the fence. I was still kicking with all the fellas, all the Southsiders in there, but then I was trying to read my Bible and go to Bible studies. So I was trying to do both, and that ain't gonna last very long. As soon as I went upstate, I started the day. First day on the yard, they were like, "You need to do this and that." So I started putting in work, going to the hole and all that. So I was just slowly falling away, and then homies making Pruno in there, started drinking Pruno, and just how so it is.
Just became part of the culture.
Yeah, I just started slowly but surely. I was falling away from God, and then that's how. Then I got shot, and then.
But you had an experience.
I knew I got saved.
Right?
I got saved. I got saved because before, when I used to be in juvenile hall and in YA and all that, I used to try to read my Bible, but it was boring to me. I didn't understand it. It was like nothing. But after when I got saved, the Bible came alive to me, and I was hungry for it, and I felt like something dramatically had happened to me on the inside. I didn't know or what. So I was for sure, I got saved. I knew God had moved, and I should even be at Bible study. Like I would never do nothing like that, because even I was a Catholic and all of that, I'd even be at Bible study, and right there they're singing worship songs, and I'm right there singing worship songs. And I remember one of the times I rushed some Norteños in there, right? And then I seen them at the Bible thing, eh? And I turned to the dude, and I rushed him all sick, eh? And I told him, hey, sorry, eh? Sorry that I did that to you, eh? You know what I mean? And he was like, all right. So I knew that would I ever apologize for doing that to a Norteño or whatever, you know what I mean? But I apologized to the dude, eh? Sorry. So I knew God but it was just, I was in the devil's backyard, bro. I was still trying to walk with the homies too, you know what I mean? So I couldn't be full. I wasn't, now you might say I was a ranker for the Lord, not for the hood, but for the Lord, because I should have just represented the Lord to the fullest in there. But like I said, I was my pride and whatever. I was like, I have a lot of respect and everybody knows me and all that. So I was like, I don't want to pick it up in jail. You know what I mean? So I was trying to do both, and that's the mistake that I made. And then I got out and boom, and then started messing with girls, you know what I mean? One city leads to another again. Started like that, and then boom, and then I was gonna kick down the guy's door.
What was why were you gonna kick down the guy's door?
We had got into it over a girl, eh?
Oh.
And this dude was woofing a lot of madness, telling everybody he was gonna get me and all that. I was like, this dude doesn't know who he's messing with, you know what I'm saying? You just don't know who this is.
So you were gangbanging from the time you were a very young teenager. Going to YA, gladiator school, shooting, gangbang, doing all this stuff, going to prison, and then you basically get shot over a girl. Yeah. Not over the hood.
Not over the hood.
Right? Over a girl. I mean, bro, I would have been like, all those times you probably could have got
But it was like if the Lord was giving me a chance, right? Because I was fresh out, 2-striker and all that, right? I hadn't been going to the hood and all that. I was just like trying to kick it with girls and like that. And then my homeboy Rascal called me and he goes, hey, come down to the hood. And he was already kicking it. He lived in the hood and all that, but he was married, had kids and like that. He told me, come to the hood and all that. And I was like, nah, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't want to get caught up. And he's like, nah, I won't let you leave. I'll have the homies come to my house and you just kick it right here and all that. So I said, all right. So I went down to the hood and I'm right there kicking it with the homies, right? And then like the next morning, his little daughter played softball, right? She had a little daughter, she played softball. So we were right there in my hood, and then we were in front of her little softball coach is her coach and her little daughter. I guess the coach was a woman and she had her little daughter. There's so like 2 little girls, 9 years old, his daughter and the coach's little daughter. So we're right there and talking in front of like that, and a car pulls up, boom, and it's my enemies, and I'm right there, and they pull up, and they're like, "We're from Puente," you know what I mean? And then that fool, blam, had me, like close, like right here, like this. Me your son, he had me like, bam, what's up? And then I was like, damn, had me, and I was like, well, what's happening? It's Puente. You know what I mean? What's happening? And then that fool, I could tell he was gonna rip. And then my homeboy Rascal was like, hey, you're gonna shoot us in front of my daughter? So then that fool looks and he sees the 2 little girls and the coach right there. And he still wanted to shoot, bro. You see him, he was like thinking, should I? Like you could see it in his face, like he was righteously gonna shoot, eh? And then right when he was like that, my little cousin pulled up and jumped out on that fool, had him, you know what I mean? So he had the gun on us, and my little cousin jumped out and had one on that dude. So they jammed, but I could have got killed right then, you know what I mean? Like the Lord was giving me a chance, right? Because I got shot soon afterward. But I even that's how the Lord is. His grace is that I feel that he was giving me a chance.
Are you thinking
then.
that?
At the time, I didn't. No. I didn't know I was going to get shot later. But then even that night, my brother rose up room and the homie were rolling around strapped looking for these fools, eh? So, and before that was my favorite thing in the world, was doing shootings and that, right? But I'm in the backseat of the car, eh? And we're rolling, looking. I know, I just got out. You know, I just did 2 long terms for shootings, eh? You know, I'm a 2-striker, all of that, and I didn't even want to come to the hood. Right, and I'm here, I go, we're rolling, looking for these fools.
To the same old thing.
Yeah, we're rolling. I'm in the backseat, we're rolling, looking for these fools to rip on these fools and all that. And I'm in the backseat, I'm like, man, how did I get myself in this situation again? Eh? Like, here I am. And I just remember being all mad in the back seat, like, man, look, God willing, look, blessing that we didn't find nobody or nothing. So we didn't do a shooting that night. Like, we didn't find nobody. I was just like, man, eh? And then I soon got shot soon after that.
Man. For dudes that survive in the neighborhood, right, that end up having adult children and grandchildren, and kind of, I would say, you know, what's the word? Like,
that's mine.
Yeah, it's you. Kind of like become veteranos, and this kind of nobody bothers them no more. I mean, it's almost, you got to be lucky, right? If you
blessed.
I mean, yeah. If you turn believer, you realize, like, yeah, God had His hand upon me.
He did.
God was watching me. But if you're just a regular dude, like, and you go even 10 years, 15 years from the hood and you survive, I mean, pretty much it's luck, right?
It's blessing. What's the Lord? Like, for sure, bro. You don't know how many times you probably got ripped on too, but I got shot at so many times back and before and all that. Even when I was all the time, so many times, bro. So many times got shot at, and even in jail. I shouldn't have made. I was a skinny old little kid, and why? And then they sent me right up north to Preston, like off the bat. So straight from, I went up to, and that was straight war zone right there with the North, because that's their backyard. So that's their, so all those, you know what I mean? We're short in that right there. You know what I mean? That's the war zone. They sent me straight to the war zone. A little kid, I didn't even know about really that's the North and South. I was just from Puente, you know what I mean? I was just banging against my hood, my enemies and all that. So they sent me up there. It was like a whole other thing. It was just only South side now against the North. So I was like, but even that, like through everything, I know that it was the Lord. The Lord always, because I should have been dead a bunch of times. Even they even sent me to fire camp for a minute right there. And I even have a whole story where we got burnt up. Like my whole crew, we got burnt up by the fire. So I should have even died right there, like so many times. But the Lord had plans for me. That's why I always tell, even when how I got shot, when I tell my story, I say, I know I was supposed to die that day, but God left me for a reason, and God has been using. Imagine from all that, whatever, to being invited to the White House 6 times. You know what I mean? I was at the White House 6 times.
It's crazy. Right
there with Trump. Been all over the nation, been all over Fox News, all over. It's not me. None of it is Jesse.
From Puente.
From Puente. Even one of the times I was at the White House, I was with like 4 of my homies from Puente. We're all over like, yo, Vatos from Puente, all in the White House. That's what I'm saying. Nobody even knows. Trying to say, oh, Trump's racist. I'm like, she ain't. He had straight gang members and all that at the White House. Eh?
Right.
You know what I mean? Who else is going to do that?
Right. Let me go back. Well, I'm going to catch up to that story. But you get shot. You realize that you're now paralyzed. What was your reaction? Were you happy to be alive and say, man, this is it. God saved me. I don't care, if I'm paralyzed, I'm alive. Are you? What's your feelings,
Yeah,
bro?
that was me. I was grateful to be alive. Like I was never I was always, from day one, I was great, because I know I was supposed to. Remember, like I told you, I told my dad I'm going to either dead or in jail. And when you're living that lifestyle, bro, when you're putting it down and doing a lot of bad, you know what's coming. You could feel it, like even like Tupac used to know. Like, when you're doing a lot of bad, you could feel it. So I knew. So I was always grateful. And then the Lord gave me peace for my situation. And then I felt, bro, from day one, I felt that God was going to use me. Like, I felt it real strong, but I felt it was going to be in, like, for gangs and, like, to helping ex-gangs and all that. That's why, off the bat, when I started going into juvenile halls and doing Bible studies in there, and started going into prison and started sharing with my ex-gang member homeboys, like, I always felt that was my calling, to help ex-convicts and gang members and like that. So that was what I was doing. And then I started speaking at churches, and God was using me. I started speaking at San Bernardino County. Like, out here, they had me for all the parolees. They had like a thing, and it was full with a bunch of new parolees, and they had me go in there talking to them and all that. Like, the Lord was just using me for a lot of things, and that's when I was doing that until when started Lexit. You know what I mean? Until God called me that, and then boom. Now God used me for a lot. Because
most guys would be like, "Wow, I wish I would have just died," but it was God, because to realize, like, okay, I have a purpose.
Yeah.
Most people say, I'm that's it. My life's over now. What life do I have? But to know that God touched you to the point of you wake up and realize, I'm happy to be alive, and I got a new leaf on life.
Well, see, I think that God put that in me to be a soldier, to be a rider, you know what I mean? But now I'm a soldier for the Lord, you know what I mean? I used to be a soldier for the devil, but now I'm a soldier for devil. Now I'm a soldier for the Lord. So I think God put that in me to be right. So now I gangbang against the devil, bro. So now I put in work against evil. That's even with Lexit. Like, that's why I always say we're not even religious or whatever, but we speak it out, call it more than pastors do. Hey, like, we stand in line with the gospel. We don't compromise, even on any of these candidates, whatever. If they ain't right on our godly values, I always tell them, I don't even care if Trump calls me and tells me if it's against the word of God. We're like, nope, we won't do it. Lexit, don't do that. We obey the God. Or if it comes to things of God, we won't compromise. We won't go against the word of God. We stand bold. Like, we're not a Christian organization, but I'm Christian, and we stand bold for the gospel. We would be unashamed, unapologetically. That's who we are.
I wanted to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by Elevate Ministries. Elevate Ministries is an authentic, passionate, and innovative church in the heart of Orange County, California. They strive to make their services welcoming and encouraging by intentionally engaging you in all senses to stimulate a spiritual hunger. If you're looking for a great church that's on a mission to change the world one person at a time, I encourage you to check them out at www.elevateministries.com and on Instagram at Elevate Ministries. How did you start that, though, man? Because it's how did you start the Lexit and realize that? Because it's taboo.
That's just
right. I mean, it is.
It's
It's like how do you start? I mean, how do you do that? Because most people are like, you're not supposed to do that. Exactly. You're not supposed to speak about that. You're not supposed to go that way. And you got a lot of flack. I mean, we talked about other podcasts that give you flack, people that give you flack, but you take a stand. How did you do that?
Yeah, it's a trip because why would they hate on it? Like I said, mostly the left really hasn't even done nothing to me. All the bad has been from fellow conservatives, even a lot of Latinos, even whatever Christians. Like why are you hating on us? Because we honor God, because we don't compromise, but I just always been, and it's the Lord too, because at the beginning, a couple of dudes that used to be were down with me at the beginning, they were like that, like, oh yeah, we can't say Jesus no more, we can't this and that, we don't want to offend people, and I'm like, what? Hell no, we are. If they don't like it, oh well, and all that. And then see, God removed them. God removed all the bad, like people that weren't supposed to be there.
All the Christian rhinos.
Yeah, well, yeah, like God removed, even if they weren't or whatever. God removed a lot of those ones like there, and then even were some Republican rhinos, and they were like, oh, you guys can't be saying too much and this and that, and like, nah. So at the first one, I didn't really know, because I didn't know nothing about nothing when I first started out, so I was like listening to them a little bit, like, what? Because I don't really know what's going on. But then so I was waiting, but they never did nothing for us, bro. The GOP, none of that. They have never done anything, gave us one penny, done anything. So I'm like, we ain't beholden to you guys, eh? You know, I could care less what you guys say. We obey God. That's first above all things, and we don't care.
What's your motivation to run this and to get this word out? Because like I said, you could easily just be a regular Christian, you know what I mean, and not get caught up in politics and protests and different things that you've been doing, right? Because it's I can imagine it's not a fun thing to have people constantly coming against you. But what is your motivation to say, hey, nah, man, I'm gonna speak this truth. I'm gonna tell people what's up, and as hard as I used to gangbang before is as hard as I'm gonna go now.
Yes, the Lord gave me eyes to see, bro. He gave me discernment, and I see what we're up against. We're up against this righteous evil. That's why I always say it's not even Republican versus Democrats no more. It's good versus evil. We're against the New World Order, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. Evil. It's like total evil out to destroy. We're in the last days. Jesus is coming. So I don't even think we'll survive another election. If we lose the next election, I think that's a wrap for America. You know what I mean? This is crunch time. So I'm like, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down swinging. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go down putting in work against the devil, because that's what I do. And that's what Lexit does. And mostly all the things that we call out is evil and all that. And then people's like, oh, because we post a lot of stuff about like gays and all that. But I'm like, we don't hate gays. You know, I don't hate nobody. But we'll call it out. You know what I mean? God's against said we called it out that's wrong and all that. You could be whatever. That's none of my business. You know what I'm saying? But we obey what God says. We say what God says. So, like you said, a lot of rhinos, even to this day, right now, a lot of big speaking engagements. We got blacklisted, a gang of big opportunities or whatever because of our stance. And we won't compromise, but I don't care. You know what I mean? Because I ain't making no money. You know what I mean? Or I ain't anything. So they have nothing. I already been to the White House 6 times. You know what I mean? Like, so I already playing with house money. You know what I mean? I didn't expect to do none of all this or whatever it is. So I could walk away from Lexit right now or whatever, politics, and I'm fine. You know what I mean? I'll just go back to full time with the gospel, but I just put against evil because I see the left as evil. I don't even, I'm not saying every Democrat person, because a lot of might be uninformed or whatever, but the party is evil. And I'll say it, even that's political people. You can't say that. You can't say it. They're not. I'll say it. Democrats, they're righteous evil. If you're for killing babies, you're evil. If you're for putting men in women's restroom, you're evil. If you're for mutilating babies and all that, that's evil.
It's
I
evil.
mean, they're godless.
It's evil.
So I say it, and like I said, you won't ever hear no other influencers or any of that say things like that, but I do. I don't care.
What is your family from the neighborhood and your old homeboys say about this version of Jesse?
Oh, they trip out, especially people that know me from the hood or from jail and all that. That's because it's impactful when I tell people hear my story. They're always like, oh, wow. But it's even more for people that know me and know the actual, and they know, especially my homies, because they know I was a straight rider. You know what I mean? And that's why some of my homies, like you see them big, straight out, or Folsom, or we're all tatted, all big old righteous old fools. And then they'll be like, I'll try to share the gospel. But see, God will use the old respect and love that they have for me. He'll use it for his glory. Eh? So they'll be like, well, because they used to call me Rev. But they'll be like, well, Revs, anybody else tells me about God and all that, I'll be like, hell no. But since it's you, I'll listen. So they'll hear me out. You know what I mean? So God will use the old respect, love that they had for me to now where I could share with them. And a lot of my ex, mostly a lot of my, from my generation one, are all saved now. A lot of my boys.
They all gave their life to God.
Most of them.
Man. And did they trip out on your conservative values now, or what?
A lot of them woken up now. But like when I first started out,
especially when you get older, right?
Oh yeah.
I think when you start getting older, you start really seeing the world for what it is. You have kids, right? You have a family. Maybe you have a home, a neighborhood that you
business,
a small business or something like that. You start seeing like, wow, man, like all these years I thought this way. And really, now I have these things, and I'm trying to protect these things and protect these values that I want my kids not to grow up with. And then you kind of like begin to change a little bit, right?
Yeah, and a lot of them that I used to argue with at the beginning and get in heated debates with and all of that, now they're Lexit, or now they're down, or they know what's up, and they're like, yeah, they agree. They rarely don't say anything. The most that they'll say, some of them will be like, oh, you just need to focus more on the gospel and all that. And I'll be like, yeah, that too. You know what I mean? I do that too. But we still got to fight evil. You know what I mean? Because silence in the face of evil is evil itself to me. Yeah?
Right.
That's doing nothing against evil. That's evil.
You just agree. If you're not against it, then you're pretending to be for it.
You're part of it. Yeah. How could you? And then we're on like I said, it's a crunch time. So if all you people that are watching, if you're not involved in all that, if not now, when? You know what I mean? Like we're already at Armageddon. Hey, this is like, it says they're already trying to mutilate kids and that they're grooming kids. Now you can't even watch Disney Channel, Sesame Street, and all. They're grooming kids. Like it's all full blown. What are you gonna wait till it's? Because next, trust me, next on the leftist agenda, you hear it now. I ain't no prophet. I ain't no. Next on the leftist agenda is pedophilia.
Oh yeah.
When are you gonna get involved? Eh? You need to get involved now because we're about to lose the country.
Right. What do you tell Christians that say you shouldn't be involved in this stuff? Like your voice for Lexit is louder than your voice for Jesus.
It ain't. Well, then I'll say then you don't know Lexit there, because we always talk about the Lord with Lexit, but see, that's where they're mistaken. See, and that's why we've been losing elections, because see, I forgot the number, but it's a high percentage of California's Christians. If all those Christians were to vote, we would never lose an election, But see, the left knows what time it is. They're all out there voting. They all know, and that's why they're trying to take your kids from you. You know what I mean? And they're mutilating kids and all this evilness that they're doing. That's why we're lawlessness. They're breaking into all these stores. Everything's going all bad. Is because of you guys not getting involved. And if you're a Christian, you're supposed to stand against evil, call out evil. Even like all the apostles and them, they were calling out the evils of that day. You know what I mean? If they were here, they would be right with us. Look at John got beheaded for being a fornicator. He was calling it out. Hey, fornicator, this and that. He got killed. You know what I mean? They were getting killed for standing for the evil, against the evil of their day. So I'm out here. I'm right here calling. We're calling out. We're standing against it. And then a lot of us too are intimidated by the left because, oh, you're homophobic, you're transphobic. They try to call us those names and all that to intimidate us. And we're like, what? No, I ain't. I just obey God. I obey the word of God. You know what I mean? God says it's wrong, So I believe what God says.
And it's a trip because I always say this. It's funny because when it comes to that stuff, the Muslims believe in that too, right? Like in some of these countries, these Islamic countries, you'll get killed for being that way. But they never speak out against them. Exactly. It's always about Christians or it's always about Jesus, right? They never speak out against anybody else. And that's why I tell people, you got to know it's real.
You have to.
You got to know that evil is real, and what is evil pointing to the most?
Jesus.
The church, Jesus, right? Christians, they're the problem, right? They don't point to nobody else, but they point to that. And I would say, well, they know what the truth is. They know where their fight is. It's in those arenas.
Yeah, but I'm telling people, just don't be intimidated. Call it out. Like, you see these pride events, they have naked men, bro. Naked men. And then the evil, social media is all evil because we posted trying to expose it and all that, and then they hit us, They'll hit us and censor us, delete us. We can't even, or else we would show more. But even whatever we see, and you see they're out there, naked men out there with little kids and all that. Like, what the hell kind of crap is that? If me and you walked out there naked, they'll arrest us, Right. We'll get arrested so quick. But it's gays, and like how we were saying that the other day. American Cholo said it when he was out there speaking. We were right there because they stopped us, right? Because there were some leftists right there, and then he's like, look, it's all just parents. It's just parents and all of us out here. And they stopped us. If it was gay pride thing or a BLM and all that, they wouldn't have stopped them. They'll let them to be terrorizing, naked out there, whatever. They wouldn't have stopped them. But they stopped parents. They were out there protesting to protect their children. But
their own children.
Yeah. Police stop us, but you won't stop. You let naked men going around straight total evil debauchery coming around on these things, which they'll let them, you know what I mean? So it's because all these Christians that are being scared, they're letting them intimidate and be like, well, you say it, I don't hate you, because it's to them, it's either you hate them or you affirm them. But us as Christians, we do neither, right? We don't hate them, but we're not going to affirm them because we obey the word of God, That's what we obey and all that. So if you have a problem with it, take it up with God. He's the one that said that.
I think that's the biggest thing, man. How did you get to the White House?
God. It was with God. Just
how did that work out?
Just Lexit, man. Just God.
They just invited you?
It was God, you know what I mean? No way an SAYA boy, you know, Pintero.
Well, you can't even vote, right?
Oh, yeah, in California you can vote.
Oh, that's right. They changed the law.
Yeah, so I can vote now.
Right.
But but even that, I was like, dang, are they going to let me in the White House? You know what I mean? With my pass. Because, you know, the Secret Service, all of that's on you, all sick. They all knew me because I had been there so many times.
This is rebel.
They knew everything. But the last time I was there, because like I said, I had been there so many times, they even knew me. When I got there, hey, what's up? Hey, like all the Secret Service fools and all that around there. They would be like, hey, what's up? That's cool. You're back here again. And I'll be like, yeah, you can't forget me. You know what I mean? Little essay in a wheelchair and all that. So they would even remember. But that was just all God, bro, because we were just, like, when I started Lexit, boom, like, we took off, And then I feel it's because we represent God first above all things. So that's why I feel that God has been his hand with us. And because like I said, I've had own Republicans stole my page, try to steal Lexit, some conservative rhinos even try to steal Lexit. I had to take them to court and all, like, so much evil. Yeah, even a bunch of haters. There's even a bunch right now. Like, if I was to tell you your name, you'd be like, well, like, big time conservative you think they were, and they're haters and all that. Like, the bunch, they hate on us. Like, why are you hating on? Like, well, for what? Because we honor God, Like, because we're not all politically correct or whatever. We stand by God, and I mean, and I don't try to fake the funk. Like, when I first came out, they used to be like, you need to talk like all those same ones, and they'd be like, you need to talk all proper and say statistics and facts and all this and that. So I tried to when I first came out, and I was trying to, and I was like, man, I can't be like that. I got to just be me, So now I just talk from the heart, And it seems like people like it more when I just be real. I just talk from us. That's why I even tell all my team members, screw all that being all say statistics and all trying to be all smart on. Just talk from the heart, And that's why people like us, because we're just real. We're just everyday Latinos.
Wow, man. I think that's what that's where the connection is, because they know you're real, because they know where you came from, and nobody could say anything like you don't understand.
Not in the hood,
right? You understand everything. When they talk about prison reform, I'm sure you can talk about that. When they talk about youth getting in trouble, you know about that because you live that life, right? I mean, you pretty much have lived a life that says, okay, what can you really put on the table and say I don't know about? You know what I mean? you know about it. And so I think that's the advantage that you have. I think that's the benefit that you have, is to say, nah, I've been there. Nah, I grew up in the hood. Nope, we did this. Nope, I did that. Right?
Yeah.
That's dope, man. So what's the plan for Lexit coming in the future, man? What would be a goal for Lexit for you?
I guess we need to get the Democrats out of the White House, eh? That's
Do you think it's possible?
I don't know. I don't want to say it because I don't know what social media you're playing, but we all know what happened to that last election and all that. But it's just the foul. That's how. To me, I can't understand how anybody could vote Democrat. Like, even before, when I was all bad, look at them, eh? Like, they straight weaponize the just. Like, it's disgusting how they're going after Trump. Even if you don't like him, whatever, it's totally ridiculous. Like, come on now. How many Russia hoax, Ukraine hoax, how many special, all these stupid things raiding this out, and they're the bad ones. You know what I mean? They're foul. Obama, Hillary, and all, they should be, but our side is all spineless rhinos, and it's because of the New World Order. There's some on the Republican side too, the top, that are New World Order too. You know what I mean? So they're the ones that are allowing all of this stuff. That's what's going on. But it's the last days, brother. That's what it boils down to. Jesus is coming. It's the last days.
And what do you say to the Christian that goes say exactly what you said? Well, it's the last days. I'm chilling out. The more evil it gets, the better for us, because then maybe God will come faster. I mean, is that a good way to think?
I don't think so. Because just like if you knew your neighbors, right, and then you knew that there was a maniac going to go in there and rape them and all that, wouldn't you warn them, eh? You ain't going to say, oh, let it be or whatever. Like, you have to stand against evil, eh? Like I do. I can't let them grooming kids and mutilating kids and killing babies and all that with them coming against the church. We see that I think they're going to try to lock us down again. And remember that? They were shutting down the churches.
Yeah,
they
they
said
came
that
for the
should have
church.
been an eye-opener for the church. Hey, all you Christians that are saying not get involved, see, you let those Democrats in, and what did they do? Eh? They were shutting down churches, but yet leaving strip clubs open and all that. You down with that? You think that's cool? See, that's what you need to get involved. And then you need to get involved, like they're grooming kids and all this stuff. You want men going in the restroom with your daughters and your wives, eh? Then get involved, eh? Because even if you're not getting involved in politics isn't getting involved with you in your life, and your kids and your business and your taxes and all that. Even the aborter, right? It's getting full blown, and it's a joke, eh? For these Democrats, they're all sanctuary cities. They thought that they were being cool, trying to get the Latino vote, saying, "Oh, we're sanctuary cities" and all that. And then what happens? Republicans say, "Oh, you guys are sanctuary cities. Okay, here you go." They send illegals over there, and now they're crying, eh? I thought you guys were sanctuary cities, eh? You're sanctuary cities unless they actually send them to you.
And then
guys.
the crazy thing about that, it wasn't like a mother with her two kids trying to kind of find a better life, like probably like our ancestors came here, right?
Yeah.
And then they become, Americans, right? And they're proud, they come here, they find a job, and they buy a home and they raise their family here. We're talking about like thousands of men, from all different countries, just want to come in here, have no regard for this country, anything like that. They just want to come here, and it's like, wait a minute, man. And I boil it down to like a simple thing here, man. And you lock your door at night for a reason, right?
Exactly.
Right? It's not because you hate the people outside. It's because you love the people inside. Right, and you just want to protect that. Now, I'm for helping as many people, and I tell people this all the time. America has taken more people than any other nation in the world.
We do. We take 1 million every month. That's more than any country.
Right, more than any country in the world. And granted, hey man, most of those people are great people. Do it the right way. I remember my friend, plumber, right, construction. Me and him worked together. He was here for years. Finally became a citizen. That dude was so happy, bro. And I said, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all. He is thankful for what he received. Exactly. But when you get something for free, you don't care. You don't care about it. Yeah. You can care less and you won't treat it as good as that dude that worked hard for it and did it the right way. And I'm like, man, I think people think like you can't think that way because then you're not a believer, you're not a Christian, and it's just like, no, it's just law and order.
Yeah,
there has to
say we're supposed to obey the law.
There has to be some order. If there's no order, look what happens.
Exactly.
I mean, we're seeing that right now. You want to make laws that don't prosecute thieves that go in and steal. Look what's happening now. I mean, even like street brands on Melrose that maybe like that early on, maybe 3-4 years ago. Oh yeah, you know, they were down with the rioting and this. Now they're getting hit for $100,000. You know, and people are walking out of their store with $100,000 merch, and nobody's gonna stop them, right? And now even they're like, well, maybe I should close my doors. This ain't cool. It's not cool. You know what I mean? That's not how we should be raised. You start a business, you should, hey man, make some money, support your family, and to know that nobody could just walk up in there and steal and get away with it.
Yeah, and then even that, like you said, all that, but then, dude, they're closing down a bunch of prisons and all that. Like, why? Eh? I was in jail and all that long time, and I deserve to be there. Like most of the dudes there, you know what I mean? They try, because of racism or whatever. There's a lot of blacks. Well, then they shouldn't be doing the crimes, then, eh? They need more prisons, not less. You know what I mean? That's why we see all this. It's very easy. Like, you notice how when I used to be all bad, gang doing all bad, I used to get stopped by the cops, harassed, and all that a lot. But now that I'm living right, walking with the Lord and all that, I never have no problem with the cops. Right. I never get pulled over. Isn't it a coincidence how that happens? That when you live right, you're doing right, you never have no run-ins, nothing with the police, no problems, nothing. But when you're all bad, you know what I mean? So they should have never. They need more prisons and more jails. And if they don't want to be in jail, then don't do crimes. Eh? Right. Very simple.
There's got to be some consequences.
Yeah.
There's got to be some consequences, man, because the people that are getting hurt the most out there in the street, women and kids and older people, right? They can't defend themselves. They look like an easy target. And then after that, it's just the hardworking people. The criminals are getting away with everything for free, walking away, no problem. But your mother going to the grocery store, so you could be doing that stuff on the side, but your mom is subjected probably to a crime like that because of just being older, just being a woman trying to go to the store by herself, or your kids. And it's like, bro, we're living this lifestyle where they're living this lifestyle where eventually that's going to come back around to them. Because with no laws, no rules, no nothing, it's going to come back to hurt you. Somebody in your family, somebody that you know is going to be a problem. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's bad, bro. It's bad. That's why we're trying to fight all that stuff, bro. It's just ridiculous.
How do people get in? How should they get involved? Maybe not just with Lexit, but how could they get more involved, man? What's your advice to those people?
Well, first, they should be focused on the Lord. You know what I mean? If they're not right with God, this is crunch time. Jesus is coming back. I know you see the Bible's unfolding right before your very eyes. It's the last days. It's crunch time. Make sure you're right with God. But, just like join Lexit, you know what I'm saying? And then tell other people and be bold. Like I said, don't cower to the alphabet mafia and all of them, or stand bold. Say, nah, I ain't cool with that. And nah, I'm against that. And represent, you know what I mean? Represent the Lord, and then do your homework, do your research. Don't just vote blindly or whatever. Make sure that they're godly, that follow your godly values. And if you're a Christian, you should be voting on your godly moral values. As a Christian, that's what's most important. Before all that other stuff, you should be voting on your godly moral values. But
what do you say to people that say, well, Trump or whoever, right? There's nobody that's going to line up with the Bible 1,000%.
Well, you have to go at least most of it, but off the top is against the alphabet mafia stuff and killing babies. You know what I mean? And that should be off the top. If they're not for that, then Lexit, we won't endorse them. We're out. Okay. We're not going to vote for them.
Because a lot of people will say that, but there's nobody out there,
there ain't
that believe all the way down. You know, every single thing I believe.
They don't have to, but they have to be against killing babies. And against all that alphabet stuff, and honor God and all that. You know what I'm saying? It would be good. Like, they don't have to be Christian or whatever, but as long as they're a conservative and like that, because Trump ain't godly or any of that by any means, but he did more for Christians than any president in history. Like, he made a bunch of promises before he went in, and he fulfilled all the promises. So, like, what would you want? Like, Bush, right? Bush played the part, acted Christian and all that. Did nothing for us, nothing, whatever. Trump don't even act godly, but yet he did every promise that he ever did, he fulfilled. So that's good. You know what I'm saying? As long as that, Trump's like one of the only ones that I know that was like honest. If he says something, he would do it. That's one thing. If he says he was going to do something, he would do it. And all these other ones lie, or some of them, they act godly or whatever. Then once they get in there, because there's a lot. I'm telling you, a lot of times there's these rhinos that even some before that we back them, and then later they get in office, and then a vote will come up, and then they'll vote against it, or something like a rhinos. You know what I mean? So then we know, okay, we ain't gonna back you no more. Then, you know what I mean? You're a rhino. But there's a bunch you see. They're letting Trump, all this happen to him and all that. They're letting it. They're not even doing anything. They're not pushing back. They're not doing nothing. They're just, so what's the heck, what good of having these spineless rhinos in there, and they're not doing nothing? And look at these rhinos over here in California. Like I told you earlier, they're trying to change the platform, trying to remove God, trying to remove marriage, and trying to remove, come against pro-life. You know what I mean? So that's why we're not beholden to a party. We'll be out. You know what I mean? That's why I told him, if California GOP, if it does, because they're going to vote on it next month, and if it passes, then we're not going to be down helping them or anything no more. We'll be out.
And a lot of people think that the answer is to move.
I wish I could move to Texas, bro, or Florida.
So you would be out.
I would be out, bro.
What's holding you back?
Just my wife and family and everybody over here. Right?
I mean, for me, bro, we decided to stay. If my children decide to move away, that's cool. It's their life. But for us, it was like, I just felt like, and it could change. Who knows one day. But I just saying this for now, until God removes me, then I'm staying, because I feel like if you don't fight on this front line, the front line gets pushed back, right? And you know what we just said a little while ago. It'll eventually come to where you're at. I think all these people, Texas people and South Carolina and Tennessee people are like, we over here. But it's like, the more that line gets pushed back, the closer it gets to your front door. I mean, and we should know that, right? Because that's what happened with the church. I'm a big believer in this. The church was asleep, thinking that Jesus was going to come back for the last 30 years. In the meantime, the enemy was chipping away, removing prayer in the school, removing God from schools, putting little things here and there, putting people in place. And we as a church were just kind of like, oh, well, praise God. Let's sing that song one more time. You know what I mean? And asleep at the wheel. I'm not saying every Christian. There's a lot of Christians out there that speak a lot of truth, right? But I think for the majority, the mass of that, and then the whole COVID thing came, and then the people were like, dang, stay home, da-da-da. Okay, I'm cool with staying home. Now you're like, whoa, dude, now they're going against what we believe, right? And that was like, listen, if you're going to make a stand on everything, you got to make a stand against, if they come against your beliefs. But then they weren't even doing that. So I think now, like you said, bro, I hope more people wake up and realize, like, we're on the front line.
Another main problem is the schools, bro. They're indoctrinating. The schools are bad, bro. That's where all these kids. That's why parents need to do a better job of sharing the gospel, all that with their kids, and then paying attention. Pay attention if your kid has a leftist old teacher. Pay attention who's their teachers. Teach your kids right from wrong. Like, no, we're against that. Don't be posting no flag, right, pride flag, and all that. We're Christians. We obey God. Let them go to church with you know what I mean? Like, don't you teach them right, and then if your kid comes home and he starts saying, hey, but what about pronoun or where, you school them real quick, nip it in the butt. What? Nah. You know what I mean? Teach your kids to be leaders, not followers. Be like, nah, we don't support that. We don't rock like that. We're Christians, and this is why. You don't fall. And then I'll pull my kid out of that class if I knew that teacher. You know what I mean? They need to pay attention to what they're, because that's what's happening, bro. That's what we're losing. Is the youth. Like you said, a lot of older people, they know and they're seeing, and they're not for all this evil, but these little young kids and they're whatever, teens and all that, they're thinking it's cool. Like if you ask any of them, they're like, gay and all that. There's nothing wrong with it. We're like, they don't see, because they're being indoctrinated by them and by society and Hollywood and these rappers, Cardi B and all them, whatever, that's what they're letting influence them. And the parents need to do a better job in schooling their kids, making sure your kids know right from wrong, and don't let them get indoctrinated.
Right. I think that's it's crazy because we use that word indoctrination, and it's like, man, that's like a so like Nazi Germany or communist country type word where that takes place in those countries, right? Like that they're raising those kids up since they're little to believe this agenda or this lie, and then now it's here, and you're like, hey, everybody, wake up! Like they're trying to teach your kids everything that you believe against everything you believe, the opposite of what you believe.
Crazy.
Like it's nuts, man.
Isn't that nuts that some leftist teacher can do that? You know what I mean? Has more say over your child than you, or imagine that could take your child from you or whatever because of some evil days. And like I said, that's what happens when you put these Democrats in. That's the consequences.
Right, man. I appreciate you coming out, man.
Thanks for having me on, brother.
I know you do a lot of them, man. I love your testimony, man. I love what you stand for. I think where you came from and everything that you're working on and doing now, man, I think it's amazing, man. I think we need more voices like that. And I think going into next year, we definitely need more voices. And I'm not talking voices of I'm talking voices of truth. It's just speaking truth. That's it. Speaking the truth, speaking the word of God, telling people that not only that, hey, they're in sin, but that Jesus loves them and he came to free them from sin. You know what I mean?
He does everybody. Yeah.
So I think you're a great testimony of that, man. So I appreciate you coming all the way out from Puente.
No, I live in L.A.
Oh, you live in L.A. now? Yeah, well, I had to throw that in there, bro. From Puente.
Damn.
I appreciate that, man. Hey, man, we do one last thing. You got anything you want to say? Close it out? Or what? I got
like that. Just like I said, make sure you're right with God. It's crunch time. Jesus is coming soon. Make sure you're right with Jesus, and he's the only way to heaven. He's the only way, the truth, and the life. Religion won't save you. Being a good person won't save you. Only Jesus will save you.
Word, man. So we do one last thing, bro. We do like a little fun thing. We call it the Street Gospel Furious 5. And we ask you 5 furious questions, man. Kind of fun. Question number 1. What does Jesse Holguin do for fun? Do you have any hobbies or anything other than fighting evil all day?
Just fight evil, brother. Just fight evil.
You don't do
it down against devils.
You don't do nothing, bro? Like, that's all you do every day?
Share the gospel, read the Bible, listen to sermons.
No sports or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Who's your team, dog?
Chicago Bears.
Okay, well.
The Raiders.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh yeah, I see Raiders right there. My whole family's Raiders fans, bro.
Okay, then they're real ones. Question number 2 on the Street Gospel Furious 5. The best place to eat in La Puente?
Pocas in Puente.
It's legit or what? What kind of food?
Legit.
Mexican food? No, is it good?
Yeah, it's bomb.
All right, I'm gonna have to
go
try
to Pocas if you go.
Pocas.
Anybody, if you go to La Puente, go eat at Pocas.
Do we say we know Jesse for a discount, or
I haven't been around. I don't go around the hood.
I will probably be. They'll probably be like, get out of here. We don't.
But I haven't been around. Man, I don't go around the hood no more.
That's it.
I don't go around.
Stay away, huh?
Stay away, because that was my thing. You know what I'm saying? That was my weakness.
That was literally your trigger.
I can't be around the homies and around the hood, because then the homies tell me, hey, this is going on, and then I'm gonna get caught up. Yeah,
I think that's a smart thing, bro.
So I stay away.
Right? If you know you're gonna get caught up somewhere, stay away.
Stay away.
Right? You realize that, you recognize that.
Joseph from the Bible, he
fled, right?
That's what you gotta flee. Don't get caught up, man. You're putting a stumbling block in front of you, and I know that was my thing, was gangs. I never thought I could get away from gangs, but God did.
Question number 3 on the Street Gospel Furious 5. Now, I know you're a Bible believing man, but What was Jesse bumping back in the day in his ride, bro?
Tupac. West Side Connection.
West Side Connection.
All the gang. I used to, bro, that stuff's influences, bro, because every shooting I would do, we would have some sicko, something gang related on while we were, and it would like, you know what I'm saying?
There's some spirits in that music,
yeah,
right?
But even I'll be bumping more bounce to the ounce, you know what I mean? All that too, but yeah.
Classic
Tupac.
Classic Cholo music, bro?
Yeah, the classics, the War and all that, Gap Band. But yeah, I'll be playing some sicko, West Side Connection or Snoop and all that. You know?
All right, man. Question number 4. Your gun of choice, since you were the trigger guy on everything, bro. Whatever was available or what?
Yeah, whatever was available. But my little one, I used to like a little 380.
380.
Because I'll even put it in my shoe. You got little ones, you can put it in my shoe. So I would even have a little 380 in my shoe.
380's a great caliber because it's not a 22 where you're not, you know,
it's pretty big almost,
and it's not a 9, but it's a great. I shouldn't say that. I don't mean it in that way, everybody out there. I'm just saying it's one of those calibers,
and it's small and doesn't kick all sick like you boom, 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 like nothing. You know?
Look at this guy, man. He's having flashbacks, yo. I'm bringing
man,
him back in.
You're getting me back,
brother. Question number 5, man. If you could change one thing, man, in your life, what would it be?
I could walk.
You could walk. Wow.
Yeah, bro. I would have never gangbanged.
Never gangbanged. That's the key,
I
huh?
would have never gangbanged. So stay away from gangs. Everybody that's out there, stay away from gangs.
Man, bro. I appreciate you coming out, man. Hey, everybody out there, I want you to check out Jesse Holguin, man. He's fighting the good fight out there. Get involved with Lexit, man. If you have a voice. Well, we have a common friend, Oscar, bro. Right?
Oscar, the IE chapter leader. So if you're out here in IE, you want to join Lexit. We got a cool chapter leader out here in IE.
Oscar's cool, man.
Oscar.
I know. I was scrolling one day and I seen him on there and I was like, wait, I know this dude, man. I was like, what the heck? I think I messaged you. I was like, I know Oscar, dude.
Yeah.
So,
I let him speak at this the other day when we were right here in LA.
That's dope.
He spoke too. Like I spoke, blah, 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 and I gave it to Oscar. Right?
Yeah, he's good, man. Well, keep fighting the good fight, man. Appreciate you. Check out Jesse, man. We love everybody out there, man. And listen, we're speaking truth. We're keeping righteousness in the front lines, man. We're talking about Jesus. We're Bible believing. So, don't get offended. Find the facts out there. They're out there. We're speaking truth, man. If you want to know the facts, they're out there. We're not here to argue. We ain't here but we're here to stand up, and we're not going to quit. So, love you guys out there, man. Appreciate you guys. We out.